You're very handsome.
I know. Sam says that.
It is good looking. I'll give you that, mate.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
And all joking aside, I mean, the videos are flying, aren't they?
Yeah, we do well, actually. I mean, it's real easy to be the best in an industry where there's no competition. That's what I
But
found.
the reason you can walk into Walmart and buy a gun, in certain states, not all states, but
Shooters spend 4.4 billion on their UK-based supply chain each year. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Tweedl Pod with myself and Rob Fennick.
good morning, everyone.
And today we are joined by a very special guest. Arguably, you could call him the Mr. Beast of the shooting world.
I mean, that is a stretch, man.
I was thinking that's a great
Where does
introduction.
Mr. Beast come from?
He's
Are you
the
even
most
aware of
subscribed
Mr.
to
Beast at
YouTube.
your age?
I don't even know what Mr. Beast is.
Mate, your kids will be watching them in the background.
I bloody hope not, by the sounds of it. I've got two girls.
It's
Slightly
not
different
Can I
Mr.
just
Beast
say-
to what you're
Can I
used
just
to.
say-
No, it's not what you think. It's not-
Is that the nickname, is it?
I was just about if
Official
Mrs.
nickname.
Fennick Googles Mr. Beast, I don't know what the hell will come up.
He's the most subscribed to YouTube channel in the world.
What is?
Mr. Beast.
What? This is ridiculous. How could we start a podcast talking about pornography?
No. You've taken it completely out of context.
Oh, there you go. I've already ruined it.
Told you.
Not turning my phone off.
It's popular.
Useless.
It makes sense to me and Johnny.
Yeah, it makes plenty of sense to me. It's a stretch. Mr. Beast is like the most popular YouTuber who's ever been. He spent years learning the algorithm before absolutely knocking it out the park, video after video, reinvesting
Amazing.
millions in every video. He does
Amazing.
ridiculous stuff.
Amazing. I'm bored already.
Are you aware of YouTube?
No. Apart from our channel, I thought our channel was the only one on YouTube. I didn't realise there was anything else on YouTube. But Charlie, you told me it was private, just for us. You didn't tell me about Mr. Beast.
To be fair, there's nothing else worth watching than our.
There you are. You see, yeah.
And arguably the odd TGS video.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much for that.
But
one. I
no,
appreciate it, man.
Johnny obviously has TGS Outdoors, which is a YouTube channel which has gone from strength to strength. Nearly on 200,000 subs.
Nearly, it's lingering. It's
Mate.
taken-
Right, mate.
That
That's
last
amazing.
10K has taken a little while, yeah.
That is mental. Because I remember last year at some point you were on like 95, and I rang you. I was like, "We're having a 100K sub party."
Yeah,
then
that's not
in the blink-
happened yet.
I know, yeah, it's still not happened, or it hasn't. I've not had the invite. And in the blink of an eye, you're nearly at 200K. Well done.
Yeah, no, it's been a real good year for us, statistically speaking.
Yeah. And what started the channel, mate? How many years ago? Was it just you? What was the idea? What inspired you to do it?
So I was running a gun shop at the time, right? And there was a few YouTubers out there, sort of shotgun YouTubers, well in its infancy in terms of informational videos. And the few people that were doing it weren't potentially the most educated, let's say. So their opinions were opinions, but they didn't come from a great base of opinion. And customers are coming in having watched this, and they were really taking it on board, which I found fascinating. So we started a YouTube channel, basically, so that they had watched a video, it had some less alternative facts, some facts in it. And so we did that, and our first year was just making videos of popular guns, so when people walked in, at least they'd have watched something. They were armed with a bit of information, because videos are a way better way of getting information than reading, I think. You'll probably agree.
Yeah.
You may not.
Yeah. No, yeah, they are, yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah.
can't read, so yeah, so videos are very good. Yeah.
Shame you're blind and deaf as well. It's a real
And apart
triple
from that, I've got
whammy.
some good talent.
You're very handsome.
I know. Sam says that.
It is good looking. I'll give you that, mate.
Go,
Give you that,
Sammy.
darling.
You can hold hands for the entire podcast.
So you
Not
just-
this one.
No.
No, some we do. Some we do hold hands, don't we, Sammy? When
Yeah.
we're nervous.
Yeah.
When we were with Dave Carey, we held hands through that because we're very nervous.
Under the table.
He's a scary man.
He is.
So you touched on there, you used to own a gun shop, or you were a part of
I was part of it, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you still have the gun shop, Johnny, or not?
I'm still a director of it.
Yeah.
But that's,
And
But,
what
you
was-
don't, but the videos are the full. Is your
we
full
are completely independent, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I went full-time end of 2021. That's pretty scary. It's a long time ago now.
Flipping it.
It's brilliant.
Yeah.
And all joking aside, I mean, the videos are flying, aren't they?
Yeah, we do well, actually. I mean, it's real easy to be the best in an industry where there's no competition. That's what I
But
found.
there is. Yeah, that's you've been unfair to yourself.
That's strong talk.
You
that.
know, but you've been unfair because there is other competition, isn't there? But you do it with a twist, a spirit, a character. You know, you have a bit of fun, don't you? You make a bit of a laugh, and not everybody maybe agrees with that whole carry on. But actually, you mean it obviously works because look at your subscribers and your views.
Yeah, it's fallen less informational and more into infotainment as a thing, right? The whole YouTube concept is that people want to be entertained, they want to be hooked, they want to, well, essentially people don't have an attention span, so you need to be entertaining and pretty octane to keep them there. And
Yeah.
so we edit and we tell stories in that ilk. And I say there's no competition. There are some great channels out there, but nobody doing it full time like we are potentially
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
our focus on the things we do. Mostly because it's a ridiculous career choice. But it's fun.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm really proud of what we've achieved so far. And I would love to see more people doing what we're doing.
And your Beretta one was amazing, wasn't it? I mean, this.
Oh, the factory tour.
Yeah.
It's one of my favourites we ever produced.
And
for sure.
and it's been your most popular, hasn't it?
Oh yeah, it's over 1 million now. That's
unbelievable.
pretty serious numbers.
I'm quite worried about when he said, you know, you need to be entertaining to keep people's attention. Do you think anyone is listening to us after 3 minutes?
Wait, the stats are good. The
Are
stats
they?
are good, yeah.
Are they?
What are the
Worried.
stats? Where are we at, Charlie? He's not even.
He's texting his girlfriend from last night.
Where we at stats?
Yeah.
Subscribers 528.
Yeah, we're getting there.
Most views.
528. We're getting there, Johnny.
1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. My mum, 5. Your mum and
Oh,
dad,
God,
6,
let me go
7.
and subscribe for my personal account. Let's boost those numbers up. Let's
There'll
make
be a
this big
spike
time.
today now.
Oh,
No,
you
we are
ready?
getting a few
I
thousand viewing.
I know. Look, I
Listen.
am amazed wherever I go how people are sort of talking about it and everything else.
I
It's
know.
brilliant, isn't it?
No, it is
It's because
good.
of good people like Johnny coming on.
Well, I don't even
Are
know
we
about
boring you,
that,
mate?
mate.
You're right.
No, I'm
you're-
subscribing to your channel. Come on. This is
love
why you
it.
don't have subscribers. You keep
And
interrupting them.
I
Hold
love
on.
it how
Ready?
I love it how one of our guests doesn't even subscribe to our channel. Sam, you're in charge of procurement to find good people.
Well, I rang
Yeah.
him yesterday. I said, "Are you coming on the pod tomorrow, mate?" He went, what pods?
Yeah.
What's the pod?
Yeah.
So the
Yeah,
Tweedl
tell me
pod.
more about
Oh,
it.
I've never heard of
Luckily,
it.
it was a 3-hour drive on the
That's
way up
it.
here, so I listened
That's
to
it,
the
mate.
adventures of Dave Carey, Mark Windsor, and Paul
what-
Childley.
So what's
That is a
the-
lie, by the way. He does listen to the podcast.
Yeah, he does listen. So what are the next things then? So what happened? You're focusing on guns. Is it going to be new launches, different people's new guns? Are you going to new manufacturers? Are you going to stick with guns? Are you going to expand from guns? What are you thinking then? What's your developments? You must have lots of ideas.
That is a great question, right? We have hit ceilings along the way and then continue to break through them as you have to, right? The real issue is that making bigger, better content costs a lot of money, right? Like these big projects, you're looking at 10, 15 days of editing, usually 2 or 3 days of filming, sometimes more for these big clay shooting events. You're there for a week, and that's one video, and we're generally 2 a week out into public. So the ceiling is only ever defined by the budget and our adventure. Ideas are never in short supply, right? But the ability to make them financially and time-wise is tough.
Yeah, and the fact is, let's not joke around here. You're not a multimillionaire who can just do these for fun. Like you see certain bloggers and things like that. That they're just doing.
How do you know?
Oh, I know these things. Sam told me. Sam told me. But and you look into the history of them. Daddy's worth 10 billion quid or something, and they're doing an article on cars or whatever it is, and
It's pretty cool. Like, I'm a bit jealous.
It's unbelievably cool. Do you know what I mean? But if you can do it, but you need to make money from it as well, don't you? So
Yeah,
you
I mean,
can only
I
do
have
what
a
people, I
mortgage,
guess,
just like most people.
pay you to do the videos on.
Yeah, so, I mean, the business side of the channel, I mean, we rarely go into it because it's not really many people's business. It's not really that important to the general entertaining concept. I don't think that many people care. But, we have sponsors. We have a really menial YouTube income. We have channel members, big up to them. And those sort of are our day-to-day income, if you like.
Yeah.
And then the bigger projects, we have to go out and find sponsors to make those happen.
Yeah.
In terms of the content we got planned, I love factory tours. We're not running out of factories, but we've done a good portion of them
Have you?
now.
How many have you done?
Good question. I should know these sort of things off by heart.
Just guess.
7 or 8,
Yeah.
maybe. Yeah, 7 or 8 factories we've done now. We've got 2 in the bank being edited currently. We've got 1 more coming in July. Really excited for that one. A British gun factory.
I was just funny enough. My next question was going to be: Have you done any of the big English brands?
We've done Longthorn,
Yeah.
but I've not done Hollands. We went to Wesley Richards during season 1 of the gun review. That was cool. Not really a factory tour, but a good look around some of the trade benches. But not done.
Trigger's going to come on the pod. Could you imagine that?
Oh,
Be quite
nice.
interested. You obviously know
That'll
Trigger
be an
well.
edit.
Just be one long.
I've never
be
met
just
him,
one
but I've
long
heard
beat.
stories.
He's brilliant. He's an absolute
He is
legend.
really good fun.
Yeah, he is.
But yeah, I'd love to do Hollands, Purdy's, Bosses, but those things will come.
Yeah,
Those things will come.
Yeah.
I think they're a little bit more old-fashioned. They're probably. You look at the sort of content they put out; it's very arty. It's not too raw and honest. And I do wonder whether those brands would even appreciate our approach, which is
Shooting from the hip.
pretty much. But a little bit more raw, it's high production value, but it's as honest and as real. And I'm a pretty normal person. It's nice to try and show it from a normal person's perspective, right?
And do you, I mean, fundamentally you're doing journalism on guns and everything. And when you're talking about them, do you ever say this gun isn't very good or you don't like that? Or at the moment, are you still only doing videos that are paid for by various people? So you've got to say nice things.
We do tons of unpaid content, right?
Do
So I think it's real important to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
I
unequivocally important to do
Yeah.
videos where we have sponsors. We have cartridge sponsors,
Yeah.
ear sponsors, all that kind of thing, and channel members who allow us to just go and make content for the sake of it.
Yeah.
What you learn pretty quickly is that, well, actually, it really wasn't that quick. Once we got to a certain size, we started getting legal letters from companies when we said their products weren't that good. And that makes life quite difficult, as I'm sure you can imagine. Being that I'm not an independently wealthy individual who goes, yeah, fuck it, I'm going to take you to court. You go, let's not...
I'll just delete that video.
or you just keep it up and argue it out.
No, I think
It's tough, right?
I think you're respected more in the space because you are honest. You know, if you said everything was amazing, it's not an honest review,
Well,
is
I
it?
guess that's, I mean, look at someone I know, Jeremy Clarkson is the prime example, isn't he? Do you know what I mean? He didn't, the point was people would send him cars and he didn't every time go, oh, this car's amazing, this car's amazing.
Oh, mate, my dad
know,
was a
he
Vauxhall dealer, right? And
yeah.
Jeremy Clarkson got a Vauxhall Corsa or something and showed everyone how to nick them, said it was the worst car ever made, and Dad's sales just flying.
Did they?
Oh,
Yeah,
Dad
point.
absolutely hates him because of it. Because
Yeah.
actually hurt them, but that's an honest review, isn't it?
It's tough, right? I think I learned...
I like my
actually-
Corsa, can I just say?
Oh, mate,
You've got a Corsa?
I'm happy with my Corsa,
Or
yeah.
VXR?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, of course, yeah.
VXR.
Now you're talking. I was joking.
Twin-
But nevertheless, I'm
Yeah, I was
chuffed
gonna say,
that you're
I
a
could-
Corsa addict.
I could definitely handle a Corsa VXR. I like...
You couldn't get in one.
It's
You're
a bit
too
chavvy,
big.
but check the shoes, right? Like, come on.
You're too small, too tall, probably. You couldn't
I
get in
will origami myself into most things.
if it's for free.
Well, I paid to origami too.
I love it. I love it.
But you drive a race car, right? Like,
well, slowly, yeah.
yeah, you must appreciate that it's not comfortable.
Mine definitely isn't comfortable.
But
yeah.
if you want to play in fast toys, you have to deal with the discomfort.
Absolutely. For me, getting in is okay because I flop in. Getting out is a little bit slower.
You have a team to help
gotta
you out.
crawl out.
A pat of butter and a shoehorn.
Exactly that, mate. Yeah, exactly that. So back to support Dad. So
Yeah,
Jeremy
no.
Clarkson then ruined Dad's business, did he? 'Cause
Well,
he slated
momentarily.
the moment. Yeah, but it's true because was it the BMW? They did a little 3 Series, didn't they? Was it the X3? And he basically said we did an event for BMW here ages ago. And I remember them saying that he basically slated the BMW X3 and sales. BMW said they absolutely plummeted.
Yeah, yeah.
Nobody went and bought. I mean, imagine having control over the market. That could be you in several years' time, mate.
Yeah, I think that's what they're worried about. Although what I've learned is that most guns have a person, right? Probably the same as most cars. Cars are a little bit harder because there's a million alternatives from everybody, and they're all pretty similar, right? You look at the X3, for example, there's 4 or 5 cars that are basically identical with a different badge on.
Yeah.
Guns, there's always a home for that. There seems to always be a home for
Yeah,
that.
you're right. Yeah.
Right? And so you also learn that if you slag something off, somebody did buy that with their own money and actually likes it and actually performs with it. So there's no point in being like, I don't like this, ergo it's shite.
Yeah.
My opinion doesn't really count for that much in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, everything's got a place, I suppose.
this is it. We can all think of guns that you think, that's not for me.
Yeah.
But you'll see some AA class shooter going around absolutely smashing it up with it. So ergo,
Yeah.
can't be that bad.
And let's go back pre-gun room times. Talk us a little bit about your upbringing. How did you get into the whole world of shooting?
Well, I really thought about making up a great story here. Right?
Just make it up.
I was raised by wolves. No, my dad worked in agriculture as I was growing up, and I thought very quickly, I don't want to do that. It looks really hard. He was working in
It looks really hard.
I mean, yeah, you've met dairymen. Like that is possibly the shittest job in the world.
Yeah.
I don't think there is a worse job
What,
in
dairy
terms of hours.
farming?
Yeah. You got to be up at like ridiculous o'clock, and you
Yeah.
go to bed at ridiculous o'clock. And
Make no
there's-
money.
You make no money.
Get
It's
paid nothing for your product.
Yeah, and you smell
which
shit
we all need every single day.
Yeah, right. I
know,
still
yeah.
find it bizarre that you can buy milk for like less than bottled water.
I know, yeah. I know. I can't work
It's
it out.
absolute madness.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're absolutely
it's-
right. It's a disgrace, really.
Yeah, he's completely.
But at the same time, I don't want to pay any more for milk, so it's a tough one, right? Milk and bread need to be cheap, and ergo, screw the farmers.
Yeah.
Although I think in reality, if we put anything up, it should be milk and bread by like 10%, and nobody would actually notice.
I don't know. I agree completely.
Opening a can of worms here, yeah. No,
Yeah.
definitely.
But it's true.
Farmers are getting screwed.
Yeah, out of all
My
costs of-
fiance's a dairy farmer, mate, as you well know. Another YouTuber.
Yeah, does
if
she
you
get
want to
up
learn
at-
about dairy farming, go search Evie Gibbons.
I
Learn
can't
all
imagine
about
she's
it.
up at 4 a.m. though.
Yeah, she's up at...
She probably got a man for that.
Does Evie?
Mate, she's up at 4. I wake
Is
up,
she?
she's gone, yeah.
Does Evie go and milk the cows?
Yeah, every morning.
Is that right?
Yeah,
Good God.
yeah. It's lush. Wake up on your own. You know, spread out in the bed.
I mean, to be fair, if I was in a bed with you, I'd be up at 4 and out.
I'd
No
have left
doubt.
by 11:30 the night before.
Yes, that's it. You'd never see me.
Don't be like
I'm going
that.
to stay on the
That
sofa
is
tonight.
full
just
on,
to-
isn't it? Good for her.
Oh, mate, yeah, she's... ridiculous work ethic.
Yeah.
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 But growing up
Fine.
with...
So you
anyway.
didn't want to go into agriculture.
No, not really. I mean, in hindsight now, I think if I'd seen other sides of agriculture, they'd probably been more appealing. But
Yeah.
that one turned me off. But we saw the gamekeeper rolling around. He looked really cool.
Yeah.
He had a gun and a quad bike. Like,
And
so
camo.
that appealed. And camo.
Yeah.
I think, to be fair, I don't think he wore camo. But he wore cool clothes. He looked like a hero, like all gamekeepers do.
Yeah.
And I fancied a bit of that. So I sort of dedicated a bit of time to learning about that, going out with him, went to Sparsholt, did that.
Yeah.
Worked as a keeper for a few years, worked abroad for a couple of years, came back. Didn't really want to do that anymore. After working abroad as an expat, it's hard to then go back to pressure
What
washing.
did you do abroad?
I was a keeper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where at?
Yeah. Go on.
In
Talk.
Morocco.
Right.
Morocco.
Yeah, which has become very fashionable for game
I know,
shooting
mate.
since
That
then.
is on the rise, isn't it?
Yeah, I like to think of
Have you
myself as a
done
trendsetter.
Have you done it?
Yeah.
Shot partridge in Morocco.
Oh yeah, we had 10,000 acres of wild partridge shooting.
And how was it? I've heard real mixed reports about it.
I believe Morocco is a bit like Spain.
Yes.
There are some more boxy places, and there are some less boxy places.
Right. Okay.
The Barbary partridge could be one of the finest game birds in the world,
Yeah.
but I think when it's like any game bird, if it's huzzed out of a box and it's never really seen much or had much exercise, it ain't going to fly right and it's not going to be super exciting.
It's quite barren though, isn't it? I mean, the thing I love about, I love shooting partridge in Spain, but it's, you know, the shrubland, the sort of the terrain is amazing. But in Morocco, it's quite, I mean, it's like literally barren hills. Is that fair?
Morocco
I've never done it,
is
so I can't.
as varied a country as Britain is,
Yeah.
like in terms of geography. You've got deserts, you've got marshland. We were in the Marmora Forest, this big
Right.
cork forest, so
Yeah.
it was as lush and green as could be. A bit of a dust bowl in the summer, but
Yeah.
it was still green enough between
Yeah.
the bushes and the trees. So it was enough green to go around. But yeah, you see some of these places down in the Atlas where they are just
I
kicked
know.
them off the side of rock faces.
Absolutely. That's
And
the ones I've seen.
I mean, I'm going out there in January
Yeah.
with William Powell. So
Yeah.
that'll be cool. I'm kind of looking forward to seeing what they do
Good.
and seeing how that compares to what we did. And what we did, I was very proud of for the most part with the partridges. Some of the other parts are a bit more commercial, but
Yeah.
the partridges were sick.
But you stay in Marrakesh.
Marrakesh? No, we were just not an hour from Rabat,
Right. Okay.
near Sidi El Bahrawi.
Yeah, it is easy
Yes.
for you to
Oh,
say.
yeah. Yeah, it's
Yeah, you know,
nice
yeah,
there, yeah.
really, really famous truck stop. If you ever want like chickpeas and cowfoot, it's the best you'll ever get.
That'll do.
I'm sure it's
Good
got a
to
more
know.
polite name, but yeah. Yeah, so that was cool. I
I'll
enjoyed that
avoid that.
thoroughly.
I did not know you did that, mate. Fair play.
There you go.
That's interesting.
And so there's another. So that suppose that's another thing. You start going to doing game shooting videos and things like that. Will you do that as well then as guns or?
Yeah, we cover all sorts now. We don't do too many gun reviews anymore, mostly because we've done a lot of
Yeah.
them. So when
Yeah.
a cool gun launch comes out, we'll do that. If there's a new model I'm interested in, we'll see if we can get our hands on it and review
Yeah.
that.
Or if someone can win £10,000 spending a gun room,
Yes.
Or if someone can win £10,000 to win in a gun room,
You
which
do
is
that.
an epic prize, we'll do that,
Or
right?
you don't have to, by the way, you don't have to spend it in the gun room. I think the other day, did you put on social media, didn't you? That what would you spend your £10,000 on at EJ Churchill if you won the lucky ticket with Tweedl?
Yeah.
Caviar.
Ice cream.
a lot of people said caviar.
You didn't say caviar.
I mean, it's a free £10,000, right? Basically, it's cost you
Yeah.
20 quid. You
Yeah.
could just have fun with that. You don't have to make logical decisions your entire life.
Absolutely. Just come in and shoot
Yeah.
clays.
Literally.
No,
Cartridges.
Yeah.
Bring
If you're wondering
everyone
what
up.
we're on about, click the link in the description. Get yourself a ticket. Tweedl.com.
If
There's not
there's
many
any
tickets left though, is there? It's going well.
No, there won't be. There won't be by the time this comes out. Yeah, you can do. I think it's about 50% gone anyway.
Is it?
I suppose the big question is where's next, but we'll discuss that afterwards.
Yeah, we need to. We need to plan the next Tweedle competition. Well, we can ask the audience what they want to see. I suppose.
I have a couple of ideas, to
Okay.
be fair. But I
We're gonna air them or
always
not?
love viewer input.
Yeah, I bet.
That's what I mean, yeah.
Johnny, you've been on like some epic trips. Excuse me. You're in America a lot at the minute. That must be pretty cool. You've sort of branched out into that market. we've noticed certainly from Tweedl, a lot of your viewers are American because
Yeah,
they're all
the
trying to
majority
enter
now.
Tweedl competitions.
Are they?
I mean, that's the market that you needed to crack, wasn't it? I suppose.
For sure, right? They take shooting a lot more seriously than we do. Well, it's a little bit more ingrained than it is over here. It's probably the way to look at it. Not more seriously, because I think there's a lot of people in this country who live and breathe it.
Yeah.
But they perhaps live and breathe it with more passion because they're American and they feel that they can be more passionate openly, whereas us British people don't feel that. I think that's fair to say. I think we could all describe ourselves as the happiest we've ever been, and nobody would tell the differences between that and the most miserable we've ever been. We're quite a beige race, the British, I think. And I'm proud
I've heard
to
it's
be
been called some
British.
things, but not a beige race, I must admit.
You don't think British people are beige?
I don't know what I think really at the moment about British people. I
Yeah,
think,
no, we're-
you know, I'll
So
maybe
I-
know more after the 4th
I do know
of
what
July.
you mean. As far as passion goes, we're passionate to an extent, aren't we?
But America,
About everything.
America is just a fascinating market when it comes to guns, isn't it? I mean, just their whole ethos on guns is completely different to us. The fact that you can walk into Walmart and buy a gun on, in certain states, not all states, but in a lot of the states you can do that, can't you? It's far more the type of shooting they do. What we call game shooting, but they would call hunting. It's far more accessible, isn't it? They're duck hunting and things like that. It's like people will go fishing here. You just go to rivers and certain places, and I'm not a fisherman, but get your rod out and off you go, sort of thing. And you can there, can't you? You can go to certain places, just go duck hunting, and you might shoot 1 or 2 ducks. And there's various places you don't need a license, you don't need any of that, and you can just go. And the number of people doing it is absolutely massive. It's a working man's sport over there. Is going shooting.
Yeah, and I think, to be fair, in many countries over the world, that is the case. And I'd
Yeah.
love to see a little bit more of that over here. I think
Yeah.
that would be, I think I've listened to your podcast and multiple podcasts and 1,000 Facebook posts of people saying, how do you cure shooting? And I think the reality is, until it's a bit more of an everyman sport, it's always going to be a little distasteful to most, right? Nobody
Yeah.
likes elitism, if that word is
Yeah.
now.
I guess the only thing with our shooting over here is, like you say, it's the amount of people that get involved with it, be it not pulling the trigger. The point is, I think with our shooting over here is huge amounts of people get involved with it from all walks of life. And actually, it's not just about the person pulling the trigger at the end. If you take all the beaters, all the gamekeepers, or everybody else that gets involved, it is massive. Whereas if you go to America, you don't get that. They're not involved. You've just got the people pulling the trigger.
I don't know if that's quite the case, right? You look at like a lot of the hunting preserves, as much as like guides, there's dogmen, there's
Yeah, I get
there's
that.
shooters, there's people,
you're
there's
talking about-
instructors. I think a day's shooting is perhaps smaller scale, but shooting on a whole is just as involved.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, but where are you talking about what countries? I mean, I'm talking about if you go to America.
Yeah, America.
But where in America are you talking
I
about?
mean, every state is different, right?
Yeah,
but
well, it's so
for
big,
the
isn't
most
it?
part,
I get
there's a similar kind of gambit. There's some public land hunting where people can go,
Yeah.
but there's guides who'll operate and take people out on public land. There's private land that they'll
Yeah, but
host
they don't
similar
get the
things on.
numbers of people involved in those days and not the sort of numbers that we get involved on here, would you?
No,
Is
no.
that
I
fair?
think on a day-to-day basis,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
a big game shoot over here will drag in a
Yeah,
huge
or even a
staff
little one, I suppose,
for
really.
one day. Yeah,
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's not. It doesn't have to be small. There are bigger events like
Yeah.
they do driven shoots, or
Yeah.
I think it's and which they'll have 28 guns shooting 1,000 birds and
that right?
a staff and all this kind of thing, and it's not. It can be similar.
Yeah.
I think I appreciate the fact that we drag so many people out on a daily basis and have this sort of community gathering is a cool thing. But I'm saying we could have that and something else, and that would be nice too.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah.
I mean, as a person who obviously is involved in selling large shoot days and organising larger shoots, perhaps it would be an interesting discussion. Do you think there's room for a more socialised aspect of shooting in England?
Hey, look, I just think we need to get as many people involved as possible. Well, however that is, whatever the way we do it, it doesn't matter. But I do agree that I think, elitism is not good, and we need to be getting more and more people involved with the sport, be it that pulling the trigger, be it that coming to a shooting school, be it that going beating, be it that it doesn't matter how you get them involved, we need to get involved with shooting. That's as simple as it is. And I think, could you make it less so? And I don't know how you do it. That's the only problem. I've been put on the spot now. So, but I guess the answer is yes, we should try and do as much as we possibly can. It's nice seeing shoots now doing smaller days, isn't it, for new people coming in or younger people coming in. I think that's really important that we get the younger generation. And, the problem is with the prices at the moment, although they are definitely backing off, I think that's going to help people, because I think when it was getting so expensive, it was just cutting so many people out of the market.
I think even on that smaller scale, it's still pretty expensive.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
That is without doubt the problem at the moment. It costs a frigging fortune.
Yeah, it does.
For
But
shoots.
the problem is, I'm not saying it doesn't, but if you look at the people organising it, you look at the people, organising it, they're not making a fortune out of selling game shooting.
I'm
Do you
not
know what I
saying
mean?
they are.
You don't see estates making fortunes out of selling pheasant shooting or partridge shooting. You don't see keepers making absolute fortunes out of it. So the point is, it's just an expensive sport to put on.
Fortunes is relative.
Well, no, I don't
think
it
that, again,
is.
there's
I
a
mean,
sliding scale. Some places make a lot of money, but if they weren't making any money, why would people be doing it in the scale that we're doing it?
Yeah, but if you look at the majority of game shoots, and I'm going out on a whim here, and people will probably slate us, but the majority, I'd love to know the majority of game shoots in the UK are probably not that profitable.
No, but I'd also think that,
and I would say probably, if you took the game shoots in the UK, maybe 80% are not profitable, or literally it is paying for the shooting and covering costs and things like that.
well, that's profitable. It's just not taxable profit, right?
I don't know about that, mate.
Having a few free days for yourself by having a game shoot and bringing some money in, like it's
but
not
a
profitable.
lot of them,
it's just
a
saving
lot of
money.
them are not doing that now, because the fact is they're having to
I'm
it's
not
getting
denying there is
harder
still
and it's
some-
getting harder and harder to put days on and sell the days. So the point is they're having to sell as many days as possible, and there's a lot of days out there at the moment still for sale. And I worry about game shoots, because I think game shoots will struggle, and if people aren't going on them, they need to charge the price, because that's what they've got to do to cover it. And if they can't keep going, they'll end up folding. We saw it in COVID. Oh,
Go on,
there's
Sam,
there's an
smiling.
equal silence.
We could definitely go down this rabbit hole for a
Awkward
couple of
silence.
hours. Please,
I
break.
don't know enough to comment, but what I will say is
Neither do I, but
believe
that's the fun.
I do believe I know, yeah. I do believe there's a small minority that are probably making quite a small fortune.
Yeah, but that's
And
there's
but
nothing
that's
wrong
the
with
same in every business and
Yeah.
every market. And actually, why shouldn't they make some money?
absolutely right.
Because if people are still going to pay it, and these the people with that have
I'll
got a
never
few
begrudge
quid-
someone making a profit.
No, 100%. I know you don't. But I think a lot of people sort of go, well, they're making a fortune. Well, do you know what? Good on them. We're all in business here. If you can make a fortune, make a fortune.
Yeah, I think though, let's just put
Obviously,
this into...
don't take the piss with it. but
Well, I
come on.
think let's put this into context. There aren't many.
No, that's
making
what I'm saying. A
fortune.
small minority.
If you take the industry as a whole, there will be very few making, let's call it a fortune. And I don't know what a fortune is,
No.
but I would argue to say there aren't any
More
making
than a living.
fortune. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There will not be many at all.
Yeah,
But
in
there
this
are-
in this
there are
economy,
certain
yeah,
few.
it's more than a living in the current
exactly
economy.
that, exactly that.
Yeah.
But you love your game shooting, don't you, mate? Do you like your clays as well as your game shooting, or is...
Yeah, I love shooting. Any opportunity to go out and pull the trigger and have fun, I find very enjoyable.
Yeah.
I love the guns. I love clay shooting. I love competitive clay shooting. I love dicking around probably more than anything. I think hanging out with your friends and shooting clays from the hip or over your head, or
Are you quite good
just
from the hip?
quickest off the arm. No.
I'm shocking.
There
from
was
the
a
hip.
small
I
portion
don't know,
of time I
mate.
was alright.
He's got over his head.
Yeah, well, that's something.
Yeah,
Do you
absolutely.
practice it or not?
Not really. I mean, I'll have a few shots.
Oh,
every time I'm
mate,
out.
he's playing it down. He's an unbelievable shot.
I'm very average, mate.
No,
I
you're
think
not.
That's why the
No,
channel does
that's-
well. because
Everyone that
I'm
watches YouTube
relatively
videos
average.
knows you're a good shot.
I edit more than Dave Carey does, so that's for damn sure.
I've
He's
seen it
actually good.
firsthand numerous times. He's a
Do you
fucking good
practice
shot.
shooting from the hip at all or not?
I'll have a few shots here and there, but my hip shooting has gone downhill a little bit. I find, strangely, some guns are quite good for it and some aren't.
Yeah.
I find the fit and feel just as important as from shooting it from the shoulder
Yeah.
sometimes, and also some days you got it and some days you don't.
I've seen some people shoot from the hip. I
I
mention
think-
their
yeah.
names. I mean, I know one mate who shoots from the hip. He's brilliant. He's I've seen him shoot game from the hip.
I straightened the tower down
Did
here. Yeah, off the hip.
I cannot
Complete
do it.
fluke. He was
I
on
am
camera as well.
Nowhere near
That's
it.
pretty sick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone like Solomon's is just a joy to behold from the hip.
Is
And,
he?
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I mean, I think first time I met him, we made a film at Grimsthorpe, and he beat me on a what was it, like a fit-ask layout from the hip,
Yeah.
and properly.
Was
beat
that
me.
the one with like the 80 odd batu?
Oh yeah.
He smoked that off the hip.
Yep.
Yeah, that was ridiculous.
Again and again and again.
Did he really? Tim, our groundsman, is a phenomenal shot from the hip.
He is pretty handy.
He's really good.
Yeah.
He beat George Dickweed once. They had a little. It was at one of the World Championships here, and I think for something fun, and it was a big event, and Tim and George had, I think, £5 on it or something like that, and Tim won it.
Off the hip.
Yeah, off the hip.
What a boy.
George is a bloody good shot.
He's
from
an
the
That's a
hip.
claim to fame, isn't it?
Yeah, it is quite cool.
It's an interesting thing, hip shooting, right? You can learn an awful lot. And that day with Ed, I learned a huge amount. Mostly that a lot of the things that people say about shooting are complete bollocks.
Really.
Well, if someone can shoot that well from the hip, then ergo a lot of the things that people discuss aren't as important in context as they say they are.
Yeah.
I think that's fair to say, right? Like, if gun fit is everything, how can someone straight something off the hip?
Yeah, you've put a lot of people out of a lot of jobs.
It's a very good question.
In reality, sight picture and movement surely then
Yeah.
count for the vast majority of a shot and not the magic gun fit golden bullet. I mean, I could admit shooting guns that don't fit's really hard and often easier to
I
shoot
guess
from
the
the hip.
argument back to that is to get the consistency. So the consistency for gun fits is your gun fit from shooting from the shoulder to get that consistency, so you can get the big scores.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt at all.
And so from the hip, yes, you can hit some, but I don't know if you take somebody, if they shoot 95 out of 100 from the shoulder, how many would they actually hit from the hip if they went round the exact course? Would it be 50%? I don't know.
Good question. I reckon Ed would probably do 80%.
It's a good
Would you
video
really?
idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could do that. You could actually have somebody shoot from the hip around a course.
Good video idea.
And then, well, do you remember seeing the old videos of John Bidwell?
Oh, yeah, blowing up watermelons.
yeah.
And he shot properly
was
from
the
the
one-
hip, though, as
he
well. None
shot-
of this, like,
no,
calculated stuff.
he
He was
shot
properly down by his
there.
knees.
Have you ever seen him?
I think so, yeah.
Oh, he's such a cool dude, and many times world champion, and John will be.
With some ratty old pump
He must
action,
be
wasn't it?
75 now or something like that. And I apologise, John, if I've put a few years on you or not. But he was the original UK hero. Him and Mickey Rouse.
It used to do, like, showcases again.
Mickey Rouse was absolutely hilarious,
cabbages,
throwing
all
up
sorts.
melons and shooting them off the hip.
Oh,
and
really?
They do proper trick shooting displays, the pair of them. But John would be able to shoot, like, stand on the skeet pad, shooting skeet birds with a pump action. And literally, he could shoot boom, 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 like that. From
Impressive, that,
Yeah,
isn't
it
it?
was really cool.
It's a whole different talent, right?
Yeah.
And what I've learned is I'll never be impressed from the shoulder. So if I can shoot one over the top of my head, most people go, oh, wow. And you go, yeah, I have one small talent, which is still completely menial next to those who are actually good at it.
Yeah, I've never been able to do that whole thing.
No,
No.
never.
Looks cool.
Scary.
And I don't condone it anyway.
No,
It's
no.
dangerous to me. Can I just say that? Yeah.
Does it?
I think
we
to be
spend,
fair,
we
nearly-
spend our life teaching people safety here.
yeah,
You know, so let's
goggles,
just-
earplugs.
absolutely.
Johnny turns up.
Yeah, nice and safety. And
Well,
then
it's all about
old Rambo over here
Well,
turns up, whacking everything.
I'd argue that out as well, right? Gun, you're in control of the gun.
Yes.
So what's the difference between having it in your shoulder and having it from the hip
The
or over the
recoil.
head? Well, the thing
There's
about
quite a
whole
big difference
cartridge
there.
is that it's so soft shooting. It's barely like the gun goes
Oh,
off.
here we go.
That's a good name drop, that was.
Boom, I'm here all week.
About all the game videos you've done, all the shooting videos that you've done, stalking videos, haven't you? I believe.
Yeah, let's get back onto the topic.
No. I want to know what was your favourite video in terms of out in the field as opposed to in a gun room or a factory.
That is a really difficult question. I mean, they all come with their own merits, right? So, like saying which was your best game shooting ever. It's tough.
Yeah.
I mean, one of my favorites. I have a lot of favorites, to be fair. Just go back from now to then. We filmed a day on wild birds this season. That was probably one of my
Amazing.
favorite days in the field I've ever had.
On partridge.
Yeah, partridge and
Wild
pheasant.
greys. Yeah. Well.
Wild greys.
Who
were
was
off-
that with again?
Who was that with?
Yeah,
Me mates at a private estate.
Oh, beautiful.
It was
I think I watched it. Yeah.
unbelievable. Like, just as an experience, just to go
Yeah.
and witness that, because it is the pinnacle, right?
Absolutely.
Grouse is cool, but it's a little bit industrial. Like, ground doesn't get used for much else. But to have a wild bird shoot on a functioning farm in the south of England is as rare as they come,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
And just to be a part of that as something that I've looked up to my entire life was just something super special as an occasion. The video was good. We did a walked up day in Wales, probably one of my favourite videos we've ever made. Like, it was a great day, just walking over Welsh mountains, hunting whatever got up.
Yeah.
And
And
again,
there's something about it, isn't there? When you're absolutely knackered at the end of the day, you feel like a real hunter-gatherer.
you really do, right? I think
Yeah.
that's a lot of people's problem with game shooting is that it's a bit guaranteed.
Yeah.
And I think I'm not talking about shooters, but non-shooters, right? It's a little bit like
If
well,
you
you're not,
see how
you're
Sam
not
shoots,
earning it.
nothing's guaranteed. Can I just say that?
Here we go again.
I'd quite like to stand next to you on peg one.
Here
day,
we
mate.
go again.
As long as you're on me right, I'm quite
Nothing's
good at left to
guaranteed,
right
is it,
out the back.
Sammy?
No, it's definitely not, Rob, is it?
I love
look at
giving him
you.
stick.
He doesn't take it well, does he?
Oh,
Like,
he
Mate,
hates
it's
it when I
every
start.
episode
Every
now. That's the
episode.
first
We are-
time I've remotely bit, to be fair. But, you know.
I feel like you need to
He's actually not a bad
understand
shot,
your own
but I like winding him up.
mediocrity and just embrace the fact you're
Oh.
average. When someone says you're shit, you go, yeah, I am.
I've embraced
Maybe
it,
you two
Johnny.
go out
I've
afterwards
embraced
and have
But
a
I've
little
got really
play.
big muscles.
Charlie can video it from the hip and things like that.
Yeah, we will do.
That you should
If
do
you've
that.
got time, Johnny, let's go and have a
Go
quick...
and have a little.
I'm down for an hour of fun.
There we
I'm
are,
always
mate.
down for an hour.
To be
He's
fair, I
always-
don't think we will have an hour of time.
I'm down for 20 minutes of fun. I mean, hell, on my track record, I'm
5
down
minutes.
for 2 minutes of
I'm
fun.
not being
Let's
funny.
go.
There's a stand just outside that door, so literally we don't need.
That's a
long.
bit easy for him. I mean, to really put.
He's been practicing.
No, that. I mean, he's here all the time, right?
So a question I had for you is: all these guns you've seen, all these guns you've handled, tested, things like that. If you could choose one gun,
Yeah, you see people ask that. That's almost
I know, but come on,
impossible, right?
it is because you've
It's
been
like saying
given
choose one
Yeah,
car.
he's got to be careful
Oh, that's
now.
easy.
What is it?
177 Aston Martin.
That's it. As
Yeah.
simple as that.
You're beautiful.
But you have to drive that for the rest of your life.
Yeah, not a problem. I mean,
Yeah.
working on reliability a little bit, but
Yeah, exactly. So it's not really a practical option, is it? Right?
well, you look bloody cool.
You would look really cool. You'd look heroic. But it's
Come on, just give us. But
there's
come
an
on.
inherent practicality built into that question.
Yeah,
One
yeah,
gun
yeah.
for the rest of your life. It
Look,
has
it's
to be
a- it's a
reliable and good.
Theoretical question.
Yes, but theoretical questions come with
So
like
particular.
tendrils
Johnny,
of
answer the question.
inclination. Like you have to
12
understand.
ball.
Johnny, it's
30
a
inch.
podcast, okay?
Yeah, but it's a serious question. People,
Right, tell
I've
us
said
then.
things on podcasts before, and people hold me to them. I can't just make a
He's gotta be
throwaway comment,
careful
or
'cause
else
of
some form will
sponsorship.
go ballistic.
Okay.
Not even.
8
right?
shot Benelli.
I mean, you wouldn't go far wrong with a gun for the rest of your life to do everything with.
They don't eject soft cartridges.
They do if you cut the recoil spring down. You can get them down to like a 24 gram pretty reliably.
Can you?
Yeah,
21 gram?
I've had them running with 21s, but it's such a sloppy action with 21 grams.
It
right?
is sloppy, yeah.
Right. It's a great
Yeah,
gun, but
it's an awesome gun.
I'd probably go for an A400 if we're going to have one semi-automatic for
There you
the
are.
rest of the time.
Right, but what about the top end ones for people if you could?
I mean, you'd be stupid not to have a boss over and under single trigger
Yeah,
20
you see,
ball.
I,
wouldn't you?
see,
Like,
I agree with that.
I think
Isn't that-
that
I would
is
agree.
up there.
100%.
Maybe a 28, but honestly, just the cartridge variety in a 20 is a better option long
I
term.
saw their side levers the other day.
Ooh.
Oh, my God.
Like, it is just something super special, right?
Unbelievable.
And
And I tell you what,
What are they going out the door at?
a couple hundred.
and they will be making the best in terms of English, without doubt, making the best English guns at the moment.
They
Absolutely.
could be making still the most special guns in the world.
With that,
boss.
yeah, and I agree. Yeah, they will be. They're definitely the top English. I'm working on the fact that the English gun makers, in my opinion, are the best in the world.
Yeah, yeah.
So so they will be making the absolute finest guns in the world at the moment. And they all have their little sweet spots. But Arthur's got that business, who owns the boss, and has absolutely got it singing. And and they are, and they're just making. They're only making top guns, only making sidelock, only making the very best. And they are.
Is it,
like you
is it
said,
limited to how many are made in the
well,
year?
they're not making many a year
Yeah.
because
You can't.
They physically can't, and I wouldn't want to hazard a guess the numbers, but it would be tens. It's not 100. Do you know what I mean? And it's probably not 50. It would be under that.
I would have thought under 20, right? But you
I'd-
think each of those
Why
guns, you're
can't you?
looking at 12. Well, it's 1,200 hours of skilled labour goes into
yeah,
each of those.
at least. Probably 3 to 4 years, I would imagine, to make
yeah.
it. And they are, and they're they're
Similar to
focusing
my
on-
America then.
Yeah, yeah,
Basically the same, right? Just
Yeah.
less good value for money.
But they're making side levers now, and they're just. They came up here. A client came up and shot his new one. It was beautiful.
I bet.
Absolutely
I think it's
beautiful.
the
That's what I
only
would have.
gun that I'd have and never look at another one longingly because you
So
know
there you
you've
are. There
got the
is a
best.
gun.
Yeah, but you know what? It would probably break the amount of clays you'd end up hammering it with. You'd actually have to look after it, and that for me would be like a big practicality aspect of
So
like,
you'd almost
I'd
need
probably
two guns
break
then.
it.
You have your beautiful gun.
You need like 4. Like
So
four's a
4
perfect
guns
amount.
then.
Like
Which are your top 4 guns?
I'd have a boss over and under
Yep.
for just pure showing off to myself more than I don't care what anyone else thinks.
Yeah.
But you'd just be happy with yourself looking
Yeah.
at that every day.
Yeah.
I'd have the new SL2 Beretta, like without a doubt.
It's lovely, isn't it?
I shot that fairly extensively.
Yeah,
now.
that's
It is-
that's really gonna rock the market. You know that gun.
A lot of people saying it's too expensive, but
No,
I think
no,
it's
I
about
don't-
bang on
I-
the money, given
I-
the amount of work that goes into it.
I think when all the facts, Beretta launched this really top end SL2, but you can shoot a lot of clays with it. It's a proper universal gun.
Yeah.
But the work they've done on it and the history, and Rupert was out in Italy, our gunroom guy, literally a week ago, and the effort and everything they've gone into, it's not just a new gun with all the same characteristics. They've spent a lot of time making that gun pretty special.
Complete redesign to make sure it is the best of the best. They brand it their hypergun, which I always think is funny. Marketing departments do say some funny stuff, but I'm down. I think it is a hypergun. The technology that goes in there, along with the shootability, and all that bullshit aside, it looks epic.
Yeah.
And for most people, the shooting characteristics are kind of important, but actually having something you're happy to look at and proud to own is cool. I'd have some kind of small bore side-by-side, something old English. I think there was in Holt's years ago, there was this 28-gauge pigeon gun hammered that was owned by this old courtesan that married a lord, 32-inch flat-filed rib that works. I remember thinking that is a gun completely shagged. Obviously, it's like 130 years old. But I think that went for like 13 grand just because it was so rare. By a decent maker, could be a Purdy. I can't remember exactly, but I remember thinking that is the sort of old English gun you want. Something so special and unique. That would be down. And then I'd want a semi-automatic as well. I have a Cosmi, which is epic, but from pure practicality, given that a semi-automatic, given you've got 4 guns in the cabinet, needs to be the gun that you're going to go and really rag. Yeah, I'd have A400, Benelli M2, one of those two. I think I'd be quite happy. Nothing too fancy.
And that's the dream. That's the dream cabinet. What's in the actual cabinet at the moment?
I was going to say,
do you have a load of guns?
Oh yeah.
Do you?
Yeah, this would be a long conversation.
Would it?
Probably.
How many do you have?
Less than I had. I had some fairly unfortunate personal circumstances last year, which meant I sold pretty much everything. And so I've probably got, I don't know, 15 now.
Yeah.
Nothing of any particular
do you
value.
have a load of guns?
No.
No, I don't.
No. 2.
I mean, I suppose I've got 600 in there. But, but
All
actually,
right, big time.
but that's not my own cabinet. But in my own cabinet, I only have 2 or 3.
Yeah.
No, actually, that's all I have 4.
Yeah.
And that'd be it.
4's enough, right? The one I grab is my gun, and the rest I take out and look at and just enjoy ownership.
Yeah, I'm a big
right?
believer in just sticking with one gun, and I love shooting it at everything.
Yeah, I'd enjoy that if that was a possibility for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the day job does require me to shoot different guns literally every
I
day.
suppose,
So,
you're a bit different. Yeah.
Yeah. And I find that the most enjoyable part of the job, although sometimes it's frustrating when any time I've spent enough time behind one of my personal guns, I actually get relatively good with it. And then I go and ruin that fairly quickly by playing with others for a few weeks. And it's important to stick with the one, and all the big boys will say the same, right? They stick with one for years, so they know exactly how it works, how it feels, how it operates, how to hack into targets, how to attack targets, how it feels when you need to control it, and just removes a variable. And I've got enough variables going on. I might as well add a few more.
Yeah, just keep changing.
Yeah, right. No, it's okay to enjoy shooting for just shooting's sake.
Absolutely.
Not all
I
of
think
us
it's
have to be
important
gods like you
to
do.
pick up different guns.
Do you?
Yeah. Try different stuff.
It's fun. It's it's certainly part of the process for me and a lot of people is to enjoy the tool in your hand and the gun making, be that for the history or the technology. Or
You'd be amazed how many side-by-sides we sell from people who have shot over and unders and just want to change. Do you know what I mean? And they just actually, I just want to have a go with a side-by-side, and they'll buy side-by-sides and
Really?
yeah, go and shoot clays. Absolutely. Yeah, it's a bit of a surgeon's coming back. You know, it's people just wanting to
It's great.
exactly that. They're just good. And again, it's not about just wanting to shoot as many as you possibly can all the time. They just want to go and have some fun. And they buy 20 bores and various different things out the gun room. And
Certainly if you look at game shooting, most average game shooting, which accounts for probably 85% of pheasants, are pretty low, pretty slow, and not that challenging a target when you've sat on a peg waiting for it.
Yeah.
And so if you take your 32-inch 12 bore with some decent chokes and some modern loads, chances are it's going to die, right? I think all of us here, if you put us on...
Sam would disagree.
Yeah, well, he's
I
the
do
exception to the
disagree with
rule. Yeah. He is the exception to the
32
rule.
inch. It's my baby.
32 inch, 34 gram, 12 bore,
Yeah.
lower
Too
and
right.
slower.
36 fours. Load them up, baby.
But I think it's fair to say a treetop hype pheasant with us three sat around here, the chances are more than likely on a relatively windy but not too ridiculous day,
A nice side-by-side.
you're going to kill it with a
Ounce
big
load.
over and under. You now take a side by side out. It's a little bit lighter, a little bit more,
Yeah,
but a little
they're
bit different,
great
less,
to shoot with.
less steady.
Yeah.
It makes the process not more challenging, but less guaranteed, right?
The only thing you will notice about shooting side-by-side from over and under, I mean, lots of things, but the one thing I do notice if I ever go and shoot a side-by-side is just the recoil and the muzzle flip of a side-by-side compared to a nice solid over and under. It does make you think, holy cow, do you know what I mean? If you've shot over and unders loads and then go to a side-by-side, oh my God, it does. I did it a while ago.
Moving from a 9 pound over and under to anything else just
to a little
hurts,
6
right?
pound.
Because you never adjust your shells. You take the same 32 gram, 34
Well,
gram
I
shells you
didn't
always shoot, and you chuck them in this little 6.5 pound side by side.
And that's something to ask you. Have you done anything? Have you done many videos with cartridge manufacturers? Is that something you've got into at all? Shooting different cartridges? Have you been asked to?
In the early days, we did a little bit.
Yeah.
I've shot whole cartridge for years as my go-to, and they came to sponsor the channel, and they're now, well, they have exclusivity as the cartridge, right?
Yeah.
I occasionally test something new when I get my hands on it to give it a try, and I have played with some of the small bore non-toxic stuff just for out of personal curiosity.
Yeah.
And it's sick. It's very expensive, but it's sick. Mostly because they're all American manufacturers who are all, pardon me, the American manufacturers are all over the sub-gauge non-toxics, right? And some of the stuff they're producing is amazing, and I look forward to when our guys catch up with that.
Yeah.
But I'd like to go and look at more, because you only learn more by exposing yourself more. But for now, not yet.
Good for you, mate.
Yeah, I think the way some cartridges are manufactured, they're all different, aren't they? How they manufacture them. It would be very interesting to see. I'd have thought.
Behind the scenes.
But you can't, mate. Hull's the only one.
I mean, and I am actually
Game ball.
infinitely happy with that, to be honest. Like, if there was ever a cartridge to shoot forevermore, you could do a hell of a lot worse. They are one of the best in the world. I think I'm happy with that as a thing.
They're a good cartridge, man.
I never sit and look around and think, I wish I had something else.
You couldn't say anything bad about Hull, as you couldn't Game Ball, Fiocchi, Express.
I ain't sponsored, by the
and
way.
a few other. I'm not sponsored either. So
no, just open to it.
Yeah. Jonny, what's the goal, mate? Where do you want to take the channel? What's the end goal? Where do you see yourself?
It's interesting, right? The journey has always been more important than the goal, because we set goals. We have set goals, and we've broken most of them at this point. We wanted to do this or cover that shoot or go and do this kind of video. And at this point, we have kind of smashed most of the ceilings that we thought were there and gone and done a lot of things I wanted to do. I'd like to, from a personal perspective, which, I mean, the journey of the channel is as much of a personal journey for me. I'd love to go and spend a bit more time in Europe learning how they do things. I think the future of game shooting, and I mean, it's an interesting conversation we'll get onto in a minute. Like, clay shooting and game shooting have some similarities, but in my head, they're two separate beasts to tackle. I'd love to see how the Continentals run their game shoots, actually learn about the laws and the legislations they're going through, because I think we are due some big change over here, and we could do with it for sure, just to guarantee any kind of future. It would be interesting to go and see how the rest of the world handles the pressures they're under, so that we can be better informed, or I can be better informed, because it's easy to spin the same old arguments that we spin all the time in defensive shooting. But the reality is they're not really holding up, and it would be good to see where we should go next. And without looking around to see how other people are doing it, that's where I'd like to go with the game shooting side of the channel, as much as going and shooting in those countries and exploring that, because it's only really entertaining if you can offer, I don't know, some kind of story. And just going and speaking to gamekeepers in France is not as exciting as going and shooting in France and having those conversations and telling that story that way. From the clay shooting perspective, continuing to cover some of the biggest shoots is definitely on the cards. I think we've set a nice standard with how we cover these big shoots, and continuing to do that is cool. And only ever pushing that boat out, making bigger, better videos, and bringing more coverage to our sport is my objective in that side at this point. Because people are doing it, but I think not to a standard that our sport deserves. Mostly because it's expensive. But you look at any sport in the world, they only become successful when they can be followed, I think, right? Look at Formula One. How many drivers are on the grid? How many people love it? And it's because they can feel like they're a part of it. And I think you look at, let's say, the World English the World Sporting, that was, 2 weeks ago. 1,700 people turned up. That video will go out hopefully this weekend, all things going well. And I reckon 100,000 people will watch it. And that inherently does good stuff for the sport.
You were out there for it, you were?
I was out there for it, yeah. That was cool. You've been to M&M.
Yeah, I've never been to M&M.
It's worth a trip, like, just to...
Yeah.
Obviously, you guys run an amazing
the swamp
operation.
And somebody said it now closes for like 3 months.
Yeah, they take the summer off and go fishing.
Yeah.
They run a commercial charter business, and then they pick up the clay shooting and then do hunting. It's a hell of an operation. A very, very impressive family. Very impressive family.
Yeah, Anthony's a top guy.
really enjoyable to work with.
Yeah.
Cool dude, great
Nice
shot,
phenomenal,
nice hair.
yeah, phenomenal shot.
Did they ask you to go out and film it?
No, I was out there for a couple of other sponsors, and then whilst we were out there, Anthony asked if we could make a film for him for the place as well. So we've done a couple of bits, one for the channel, one for them, just like a ground story, if you like, and our one is just all about the Worlds. We went and shot the main course with Anthony and played some of the side games and had a bit of fun.
Yeah.
Less potentially, but it should be an enjoyable video. Let's leave it at that.
Good for
Let's
you.
not get too deep into the technicalities of video production.
And talk about video production on clay shoot. It's hard, isn't it, filming clay shooting? I mean, we're always asked, can we get it on TV?
Yeah,
Can we get it on
we
that?
spoke about it in previous episodes, haven't we?
Do you think it's possible to do it? Is the technology there now? Is
For
it?
Sure. It's just expensive.
Yeah.
I think that's the reality, right? It's a lot easier, and you see nothing against the couple of guys who do it. Those who go and cover the shoots, they intro the shoot, tell you where it is. They'll have a couple of interviews. They'll take some side shots, some wide shots. Maybe you'll see a clay break, and there'll be some voiceover, and then they'll tell you who won it, and then interview with the winner. And that's cool, but it's hardly immersive enough, I think, right? It takes a lot of work. You look at what Nationals did 2 years ago with their live stream out in America, sick, absolutely sick. But, that's like, I would have guessed a 6-figure production just to live stream the last thing. You got, 6 or 7 cameramen walking around, all live streaming to a hub. That hub has to have operators, and then they've got to have people actually managing that. They've got 2 live commentators. That's an operation in itself, and a very impressive one. And that is what it would take, I think, on a regular to be good. You would then look at the level of those competitors out at Nationals and realize that all of them are totally okay with a camera being shoved up their ass because they realize that's what it takes to move the sport to the next level. Having filmed a few shoots in England, it's got better over the last few years, but the amount of people who don't want you near them, because even though they can't see you, they just feel like that pressure of the camera.
Yeah.
And you go, that's not how we're going to progress. There needs to be a bit of an openness. I've been talking for ages. I've never managed to find the backing for it. Drive to Survive of shooting. It'd be easier in America because they have a slightly more structured competition calendar with the Winchester Super Series, whatever it's called, Championship Tour. Imagine following 10 shooters through their journeys at each of these major events, telling their stories and all
We've
this.
spoken about it with others, haven't we?
Mate, that would be incredible.
It'd be sick, right?
Yeah.
But again,
And there's plenty of competition in there as well, in terms of the individuals.
Oh,
and all
well,
that.
realistically, you could just stick a camera on Brandon Powell and you'd probably be good enough for now, seeing as he's winning everything. That boy is unbelievable.
He's a phenomenal shot.
I love watching him shoot as well. He just doesn't seem... He's just a hungry, aggressive, energetic. It's amazing to watch. I love watching a lot of these more calculated shots.
Yeah.
But there's something really raw about the way he shoots. And
It is, and he's very different to all the other Americans the way he shoots, isn't he? Because a lot of the Americans, the top Anthony and all those, they're very calculated, they're in their own zone and everything else. But Brandon just seems to be a different...
Yeah, did you watch that super final?
I know, saw him shoot it.
Poop, ba-bang, poop, ba-bang. Drops the cartridge in, calls pull, closes the gun, shoots the last pound.
Which is the opposite as to most, when you watch some of the top American guys shooting, they're all very calculated. It's just... they go through a certain routine,
twist
and
the cartridge.
Things like that.
Yeah, but you see him, he walks into the stand, he does a lot of his thought process before. You can see, twitches his glasses, looks, does all this stuff, and as soon as it's go time. It's nails. And that is inherently just as good a technique because it's working. It's fascinating to watch, right?
It certainly works for him.
It's cool. But yeah, just imagine going out there and following that, and you could do it in
That'd be
England.
brilliant. I'd love to
That
support
would be
you with
incredible.
That.
It's
Yeah,
great
it would be
idea.
really cool.
Just need the backing for it. Because again, that's some project, right? You need
It's a
staff.
12-month project, isn't it?
Yeah, you need staff, people, money, and that is
10 sashes.
Yeah, realistically, right?
Yeah.
Filming clays is really hard.
Yeah.
And takes specific gear and a bit of experience and a lot of talent, and it's also really tiring because it's all handheld camera work for hours on end. And there's a good big up to Sash. He is the best at it in the world.
Yeah,
Period.
no, fair play to
I don't
him.
know if there's anyone
He
who can
deserves
touch
a
him.
big up.
But even then, he'll admit those weeks filming, they're brutal. They're not enjoyable for him in the slightest. It is the hard work. And now imagine doing that, but you've got to find 10 people equally as talented and gifted, if not more, because you're doing this over the course of weeks over the year and you can't guarantee those people will be there. They're going to want to be paid for that well because they deserve it.
Yeah.
It is the prohibitive thing in the sport, certainly in England, is that there is not quite the money to make the decent productions. And that's rough for the sport in itself. And how we change that as a funding model for the future of clay shooting, I don't know.
Did you see the CPSA release some figures yesterday? Was it yesterday?
No, I didn't, if I'm honest with you, mate.
On Instagram.
No.
You've got your phone next to you. Mine's over there. Charlie, just grab my phone. I think it didn't specify game shooting or clay shooting. But
I saw this pop up. Was it 3.3 billion or something?
I think it was
Did
something
I
around that.
see a figure like that?
Was this the
Yeah.
value of shooting thing?
Yes.
Yeah, that's got to include game shooting, right?
Yeah, you'd have thought so. It's
No,
worth
definitely.
talking about. On
Yeah,
here.
value of shooting.
Shooters spend 4.4 billion on their UK-based supply chain each year.
Shooting is
And-
worth 3.3 billion annually to the UK economy.
Yeah. Shooting activities generate the equivalent of 67,000 full-time jobs. And target shooting, including clay shooting, full and small bore rifle shooting, and air rifle and pistol shooting, of the 553,000 active participants in shooting, 66% are involved in clay target shooting, and 366,000 people take part in clay pigeon shooting. Some pretty cool stats there, isn't there?
How many members has the CPSA got?
I don't know.
I don't think that figure will be public, but it'll be a lot.
It's
That'd be 40,000. Do you reckon?
I would have said more.
Would you? Yeah,
I think probably more.
it'd be a lot.
I'm
Yeah.
finding
I mean,
out.
you just look at. Just look.
It's a great business.
Hey,
to
look,
see
there's,
this.
there's 200
Not that
people
it
out
is a
there about
business.
to go out.
I know.
clay shooting.
22,000.
Is that what they've got?
22,000.
Yeah, members over all their categories.
I don't. That's,
Yeah,
that's
that might
top
be
top
adult
list on
members,
Google.
but yeah, but it's
Let's go with it. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I thought it'd be more.
Yeah, I guess. But then
But there's loads of people that I know that shoot clays a lot,
Well,
and they're not members of the
they're
CPSA
not
because
registered.
and we're
yeah.
just saying there's 200 people out there about to go, but
Yeah,
none,
of
of
them.
none of those will be CPSA members. They're just a group,
a
corporate
corporate group.
you know,
Yeah.
and that's the third one this week. We've got 400 here tomorrow, you know, and none of them will be members of the CPSA, but they're all having a go at clay
You
pigeon
think like
shooting.
club level weekend shoots?
Yeah,
There's plenty of people who
absolutely.
go
There-
once a month, once every other
Loads,
month, and have
even
some
if
fun.
it's 10, 20, 30 and things like that. It's a popular sport, and it's
Yeah.
growing and growing and growing. And that's where our sport is amazing, isn't it? We've mentioned this several times. For us, people say, you know, why is our sport so popular? There is no barrier to entry.
No.
You can we get people taking up shooting and they're 70. And they
Yeah.
come for the first time. We've got people coming to learn to shoot from 8 years of age. You know, there is no, you don't need to be tall, short, fat, thin. It doesn't make any difference whatsoever. You can have a go.
Right. Is that fair? I don't know. It seems to be that there's no barrier to being good. That is for
There's
sure.
absolutely no barrier to
And
be
the
good.
barrier to entry in the UK is having a license, and even then you can go and have fun without
Yeah.
if you got a couple of quid.
Yeah. No, I think as well, not just blowing smoke up Rob's arse again, but to have more facilities like this in the country, and since certainly up north there is nothing like this. But you see today there's a big commercial group of people.
It's about
commercial
chimney
party
pots,
today
isn't
and
it?
tomorrow.
You know,
But if you had it up north, I know chimney pots. Yeah, you need.
know,
you
I mean,
need people.
we've got Swinton up there, which is beautiful. As a ground, it's absolutely beautiful. You know, but and it's doing really, really well. And we love it. Absolutely. And we've got the British Open this year, which is pretty cool up there. And
Very cool.
yeah, it's really cool. And to get it up north is fantastic for all those people in that whole north of England, Scotland, etc. who don't have to travel all the way down here for the event. But it's
Pretty
yeah,
inconvenient if you ask me.
you'll have to get you up there. But it's just about getting the chimney pots around you, isn't it?
Yeah,
and
no, I
and the
get that.
footfall. That is what controls it. It's as simple as that. Whereas if you look down here, huge footfall, huge chimney pots, and you've got some cracking shooting grounds. Obviously us, but you've got lots of others around. You know, we're very spoiled, aren't we, down here to have some special places.
We've got a lot of great grounds.
Yeah.
But I always feel like the Midlands and the North has more grounds. They're just less big. Is that fair?
Yeah. I mean, it's there are a few. Yeah.
Yeah, there's plenty of grounds, but nothing that touches
Yeah.
this or Barbary
Yeah.
or this or Barbary, really.
Yeah.
And there's a few other grounds that are actually there's loads of great grounds in the south. I love being southern. Yeah,
You're proper southern, aren't
I'm basically in the sea. I'm closer to France than I am to you.
you? Literally.
Yeah,
I love it.
Literally.
Well done, mate. Well, listen, I think that probably wraps it up, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think we better add because I don't know what's happening behind the scenes here, but I think Charlie for the last 20 minutes has been pulling his
stressing.
hair out.
You're right,
with-
Charlie.
With a camera. Come on, mate. What's happened?
Oh, no.
It's a Sony.
We definitely wrap it up then.
It's
Sam,
overheated.
over to you to wrap it up.
Yeah, no, Johnny, that's been excellent, mate. I think
Thanks, Johnny.
I actually think it deserves a part 2 because there's a lot to cover that I didn't cover.
Well, we didn't really
Go
get
on.
started on anything other than just going down rabbit holes, which I thoroughly enjoyed. We could have spent another hour
Yeah.
going down a few of them.
We didn't stick on the same topic for a long time, did we?
Yeah.
Well, I like that. You're very good at that, mate, and I appreciate you coming on.
And good
Yeah.
luck with everything, Johnny.
No,
Keep
I
up the
appreciate
great
it,
work,
guys.
mate. Really
Thank
good
you
seeing you.
both very much. The
Yeah.
world needs more shooting podcasts. Again, it's just about getting as much content out there as possible so that hopefully someone bumps into it and enjoys.
That's
And
all,
that's cool.
all we hope for.
Yeah, that's what we're doing it for.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah.
Guys, if you've... he's turned the camera off, haven't you?
It's overheating again.
Okay.
So we'll just do the outro if you can turn it.
Now or not?
Johnny's been fine. Been absolutely
Right.
Luckily, it's only been the parts where Johnny's been talking, so obviously on the pod it'll be showing Johnny talking.
All right,
That
okay.
makes sense.
Right. We'll wait for it to come back on. We'll wrap it up. Unless, Johnny, you wrap it up for me in this camera. You're a professional. Click the like and subscribe button.
Guys, thank you very much for watching and listening to the Tweedle podcast. If you enjoyed this, make sure you subscribe either on Spotify. It will soon be on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, right, Sam? And if you're on YouTube, like, share, subscribe, become a part of the family. Don't miss another one.
And 20 quid a ticket.
Oh, yeah, I thought we've already mentioned this, but if we needed another plug, go to Tweedle.com and buy some tickets, either for the epic giveaway they got here or for whatever is live when you're watching this.